It's 11:47 p.m. A traveler steps through a set of glass doors, rolling a suitcase behind them, exhausted from a delayed flight. Marble floors, warm gold lighting, soft piano drifting from somewhere unseen. A receptionist smiles like she's been waiting all night just for this one guest. On the screen behind her, $249 a night. The traveler thinks what most of us think. That's the price of the room. That's what the hotel makes. But watch closely, because that number is about to unravel. There's a parking garage under this building, and it isn't free. There's a bar to the left, glasses catching the light, already busy at midnight. There's a breakfast buffet being prepped 2 floors down for tomorrow morning. There's a ballroom on the 3rd floor where 40 white chairs are being set in rows for a wedding at noon. There's a suite upstairs, twice the price of this room, already booked by someone who wanted more than a bed. The $249 room got this traveler through the door. It is not the whole story of how this building makes money. Because the room you booked may be the most obvious product in this building, but it is not the only way the building earns. And once you understand what's actually happening behind that lobby, you will never look at a hotel the same way again. Here's the assumption we need to destroy first. A hotel is not one business. It's several businesses wearing the same uniform. It's a lodging company. It's a food and beverage company. It's an events company. It's a parking operator. It's a meeting space landlord. And depending on who actually owns the building, it might also be a small piece of a much larger real estate and branding empire. Inside the industry, there's a phrase that explains how hotels actually think about money. Not how much did we charge for one room, but something closer to how effectively are we using every room we have tonight. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should. A 100-room hotel has exactly 100 things to sell tonight. Tomorrow, it has 100 more. But here's the catch. Tonight's unsold rooms don't roll over. They don't sit in a warehouse waiting for a better offer next week. An airline seat that takes off empty. A restaurant table that sits vacant during dinner rush. A hotel room nobody books tonight. They all share the same quiet tragedy. Time destroys the inventory. The hotel isn't really selling a physical room. It's selling tonight. A single window of time that vanishes the moment midnight passes, whether anyone paid for it or not. That single fact is the engine behind almost everything you're about to see. Picture a 300-room hotel on a Tuesday in February. Some rooms are full, some are dark, silent, untouched. Housekeeping already made the beds this morning for guests who never arrived. Tomorrow, the slate resets. Every room is available again, but yesterday's empty room is gone for good. There's no selling it retroactively. This is the quiet math running behind every front desk in America. Hotels lean on seasonal pricing, weekday versus weekend pricing, pricing tied to local events, pricing that shifts for early bookings versus last-minute ones. They study occupancy forecasts. They divide rooms into categories, standard, deluxe, suite, so different travelers can be offered different products at different prices. The goal was never charge everyone the maximum amount. That's a myth. The real goal is subtler and, honestly, more interesting. Find the right price for the right traveler at the right moment, before that night disappears unsold. This is called revenue management, and it's less like price gouging and more like a constant, quiet negotiation between a building and time itself. But here's where the business gets much more interesting. A hotel room gets a guest through the door. What happens after that is where the layers begin. Picture a couple arriving on a Friday evening. They pull into the garage. That's a transaction. They check in and decide to upgrade to a room with a view, another one. They order 2 drinks at the rooftop bar before dinner. They eat at the in-house restaurant instead of walking somewhere else. The next morning, they book a couple's massage at the spa. They grab breakfast before checkout. That couple didn't buy one product. They moved through an entire ecosystem built to capture value at every step of their stay. Parking, upgrades, food, drinks, wellness, and the room itself, stacked on top of one another like layers of a cake. The room got them through the door. The experience is what kept the money moving. Now picture that same building on a Saturday. A ballroom that was empty yesterday is transformed. Round tables draped in white linen, string lights hung across the ceiling, a florist arranging centerpieces while catering staff test the sound system. 200 guests will fill this room by evening. This is a wedding, and to a hotel, it's not one sale, it's several, stacked inside a single event. The venue rental itself, the catering and the open bar, the staffing to run it all, and quietly, in the background, something even bigger. Out-of-town guests booking rooms for the weekend. The bride's family reserving a block of 10 rooms. Some of those guests eating breakfast the next morning before they check out. Some of them parking in that same garage from Act 4. One event, multiple departments, all activated at once, inside a building the guests may never think of as anything more than the wedding venue. That's the hidden machine, a single celebration quietly touching almost every revenue stream a hotel has. There's a different kind of guest hotels quietly love even more than the wedding party, the business traveler. Because a business traveler often isn't paying out of their own pocket, their company is. And companies don't book once, they book repeatedly. For sales trips, for training sessions, for conferences their employees attend every year without fail. Some companies negotiate ongoing rates directly with a hotel or chain. In exchange, the hotel gets something that's hard to put a price on: predictability. A leisure traveler might book once and disappear for years. A corporate account can generate demand on a schedule, quarter after quarter, conference after conference. Now scale that up. A convention rolls into town. Hundreds of attendees need rooms for 3 nights. Suddenly it's not just rooms, it's breakfast for hundreds of people, meeting rooms rented by the hour, coffee breaks between sessions, catering for the closing dinner, parking for everyone who drove in. At that scale, the hotel isn't selling individual rooms one guest at a time anymore. It's selling access to an entire building. Now we step into more sensitive territory, because this is the part guests notice and remember, and sometimes resent. Depending on the property and the market, some hotels charge additional fees beyond the nightly rate. A resort or destination fee that covers pool access, Wi-Fi or gym use, a parking charge, a pet fee. In some cases, a charge for checking in early or checking out late. It's important to draw a clear line here, because not all of this is the same thing. There's a real difference between a disclosed fee, one that's listed clearly before you book, even if it's easy to overlook, and a fee that feels like it appeared out of nowhere at checkout because it wasn't communicated well. From the hotel's side, these charges often exist because separating services lets them price the base room more competitively while charging separately for things not every guest uses. It can reflect real operating costs, insurance, maintenance, local taxes that vary from one market to another. None of this means every hotel is trying to trick you, but it does mean something worth remembering. The number on the booking screen is rarely the complete economic picture. The $249 room and the final number on your receipt are often 2 different stories. Look down at the parking garage beneath that same hotel. Rows of cars stacked 5 levels deep, engines cooling after a day of travel. In dense cities, at airports, at resorts and other high-demand destinations, that garage isn't just a courtesy for guests. It's its own quiet product line. Overnight guests pay for it. Valet guests pay more for the convenience. People attending that Saturday wedding pay to park for the evening. Diners visiting the restaurant without staying the night pay too. Even people with no connection to a room upstairs might park there just because it's the most convenient spot in the neighborhood. The same square footage, the same concrete and paint lines, is being sold to 5 different kinds of customers in a single day. The parking lot isn't just where people leave their cars. In plenty of hotels, it's another product on the shelf. Here's the part almost nobody thinks about when they book a room. The name on the building might not tell you who actually owns it. In the hotel industry, there's frequently a split between 3 different roles. There's the owner, often an investment group or real estate fund that bought the physical building as an asset. There's the operator or management company, hired to run daily operations, staffing, housekeeping, service standards. And there's the brand, the name on the sign out front, which may have simply licensed its logo and reservation system to that property through a franchise agreement. That means the company that built the loyalty program you're a member of might not be the same company collecting your nightly rate. And the group collecting your nightly rate might not be the same group that actually owns the walls around you. It's a quiet, layered ecosystem of real estate investors, management companies, and global brands, all connected to the same building, and almost none of it visible from the lobby. The sign above the entrance tells you the brand. It doesn't necessarily tell you who owns the building underneath it. Now zoom all the way out. A hotel isn't only a business generating nightly revenue. In a lot of cases, it's also a real estate asset, and those are 2 related but different stories. Its value depends on where it sits, how much the land underneath it is worth, how consistently it fills rooms, what it can charge per night, what it costs to operate, and how strong the demand is in that specific market. A hotel occupying a city block in a major downtown isn't just a collection of beds. It might be sitting on some of the most valuable dirt in the entire city. That's why hotel profitability and hotel property value aren't always the same conversation. A building can be a modest operating business and, at the same time, an extremely valuable piece of land, appreciating quietly while the rooms upstairs are still being sold one night at a time. Sometimes the biggest story isn't what happens inside the room, it's what's happening to the building underneath it. Bring it all back together for a second. Maybe you expected one giant secret, a single trick hiding behind the front desk. But that's not really what this is. The secret is layers. Room revenue stacked with food and beverage, stacked with weddings and conferences, stacked with parking, stacked with upgrades, stacked with corporate accounts and group blocks, stacked with spa visits and late checkouts, and 100 other small decisions made by guests who never think twice about any single one of them. No hotel needs one guest to spend a fortune in a single night. It needs thousands of ordinary decisions made by thousands of ordinary people, all adding up inside the same building. That's how ordinary transactions become an extraordinary business. Go back to that traveler at 11:47 p.m., standing in the lobby, looking at a screen that says $249. What did they actually buy? A bed for the night? A room with a door that locks? Or a single point of entry into a building engineered, layer by layer, to turn one stay into dozens of small, quiet transactions? The hotel room was never the whole business. It was the invitation. And once you understand that, you start seeing hotels differently. The parking garage, the ballroom, the rooftop bar, the sign out front that might not even belong to the people running the place. If you want us to expose the hidden business model behind another company you pass every day, subscribe and drop the business you want us to investigate next in the comments, because the next money machine might be hiding in plain sight.